Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. Abdullah Zbayd with you once again on Break Your Face TV, and we are honored to welcome a leader in the MMA and fight industry, a man who's done so much for the sport that we love, the founder, chairman, and CEO of ONE Championship, Mr. Chatri Sityodtong. Chatri, welcome to Break Your Face. How are you doing, sir?
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
It's wonderful having you with us. We've got so much we want to discuss, so much going on in the world of ONE Championship. We obviously want to talk about previous and upcoming events, the potential IPO and the Qatar Investment Authority, the deal with Amazon and beIN Sports. But let's start with fighting. Some amazing fights recently. A little over a month ago, a very successful debut on Amazon Prime Video. Another successful event just this past Friday, Saturday in the Middle East and Singapore. Congratulations on both those events. Looking at some of the social media metrics from the first event, one was the #1 trending topic on Twitter worldwide during the debut on Prime Video. It had 3 of the top 10 spots as well. #1 trending topic in the US and in China the day before. Pretty impressive figures. I'm sure the viewership numbers are just as impressive. How happy are you with the success of these events and this deal with Amazon so far?
Yeah, I'm obviously quite happy, but I'm definitely nowhere near satisfied, if that makes sense. I always tell our team, it's still day one. Yes, we've grown tremendously, and yes, we were trending #1 worldwide on Twitter, #1 in the US on Twitter, and #1 in China on Weibo, Kuaishou, and Douyin, all the major platforms. And it's pretty remarkable, how where we're at. I mean, sometimes I just have to pinch myself, but at the same time, when I look at where we are as a business and where I want to go, we're still just scratching the surface. So I always say it's still day one for us. So I expect big things from us going forward, as I always do. Next year is going to be a massive year. It's actually going to be the biggest year in the history of the company. We are tripling our events. So the number of global events, live global events next year will be up 300% and to a record high. So that's going to be a massive moment for us. To have live events every week around the world, broadcast, and our fan base is already very rabid. I'm sure they're going to be very excited to see amazing fights on a weekly basis.
Yes, sir. We are definitely excited for it. If we may just ask about one fighter from the first event, everyone's seen it by now, the beautiful flying knee knockout by Demetrious Jongson on Adriano Moraes. It seems all is once again right in the world, with DJ becoming the flyweight champion. Now, with that win, do you see DJ as once again the greatest of all time, or at least the greatest flyweight of all time?
Definitely, he's the greatest of all time. Definitely. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And I talk about, first, let me talk as a lifelong martial artist. As a lifelong martial artist, I look at his skill set, his striking, his distance management, his timing, his speed, his explosiveness, his balance, his shot selection, his fight IQ. Then you go into wrestling and cage work, and then you go into grappling and submission and transitions. Just unbelievable, really. From a pure skill set perspective, he's far better than the other goats that are mentioned typically. And then to do what he did, no one's ever won the world title in UFC and won, and he's the first man to do it, first person to do it. So the two largest organizations in the world, obviously on opposite sides of the planet, the combat sports industry is a global duopoly, especially if you look at on a viewership and fan base size of viewership or size of social media following or whatever you want to call it. There's only two giants, and everyone else is really tiny, when you look at those metrics. But you also look at the quality of the roster. I would go head to head any day against any organization, and I would love. My dream would be to do a champion versus champion, ONE versus UFC. I think DJ would wipe out Moreno or Figueiredo.
I agree very strongly with you on that. Now, and then of course there was one on Prime Video 2, another exciting card, 2 championship fights, a first ever flyweight submission grappling championship, and MMA strawweight world championship all on the line. The ladies headlined with current atomweight champ Anjela Lee attempting to make history to become the very first female 2-division champ in ONE. She took on strawweight champ Xiong Jingnan. Now, plenty of history between these two warriors. They both unsuccessfully attempted to take each other's belts in 2019. Now, this third time we saw Anjela come up a little bit short by unanimous decision. It seems some people, though, were in disagreement with that call. I believe you were as well. What were your thoughts on that, and what does the future look like for these two ladies? Will there be a fourth fight between them?
Under any rule set, the fight was razor thin. I mean, super close. So I think half the fans thought Anjela won, and I think half the fans thought that Jing won. And I can't find fault in either. I personally thought that Anjela edged it out, barely, but edged it out because, while Jing did tremendous damage and had a near finish, Anjela came back with her own near finish, even though it wasn't as close as the striking near finish that Jing had put on. But then the rest of the round, Anjela dictated the pace and the output and the volume and the strikes. In my eyes, significant strikes. So, when all comes down, I think when all comes down, I think that Anjela edged Jing, but I see both sides. It depends. I'd have to watch the fight again and see if I change my mind, but it was razor thin, razor thin.
Yeah. And is it likely we'll see a fourth one soon, or will they be fighting someone else before they fight again?
I think they'll fight other people. I think they'll defend their titles, or maybe even Jing will come down to atomweight. I have no idea, but I think the plan first is to let them fight one or two other opponents before. But I do think they want to fight again for a fourth time. And this time, most likely for Anjela's belt, because Jing wants to come down. And to be fair, it should be that way because Anjela's gone up twice to fight for Jing belt, and Jing has only fought for Anjela's belt once. So I think a fourth would be an atomweight title shot for Jing.
They've all been exciting fights, but we have to ask you about another fighter on that same card. Wasn't fighting for the belt, not in that event, but a superstar in the Middle East, Anissa Meksen. She successfully won her last fight, and in January she'll have a mixed rules MMA Muay Thai super fight against none other than Stam Fairtex. I want to focus on that fight for a second. This is only the second time a fight of this kind happens. I know it's a bit further away, but it seems there's a lot of interest in these types of matchups. Now, some people think the MMA specialists just need to survive the Muay Thai rounds and they'll be able to finish it, similar to what we saw with DJ and Rod Tang. Do you think Anissa will do better than Rod Tang in his mixed rules fight? And will we see more of these matches in the future?
Yes, I think Anissa poses a very big threat to Stamp, both in striking as well as in MMA. Anissa's leaner, longer, stronger, and faster, and she's a better striker, in my opinion, than Stamp. And I've never seen any wrestling from Stamp. Does she have a single? Does she have a double? Does she have chain wrestling? Can she take Anissa down in the MMA rounds? I don't know. And then on top of it, Anissa threw a curveball. She told everyone at the press conference that she's actually been doing MMA for a long time. So this may be the start of Anissa's MMA career. I don't know. Of course, I'd like to see Anissa fight for the world title in kickboxing and Muay Thai first, after the Stamp super fight. Hopefully next year, Anissa will get a crack at either the kickboxing or Muay Thai world titles, or both next year.
Amazing. Officially heard from the man himself. Now, Chatri, your expansion with Amazon into the US market is just one part of an even bigger expansion. You've recently said you'll be moving into Brazil, heading to Europe as well in 2023. Now, of course, a big expansion also means a lot of spending. Group One Holdings, the company behind ONE Championship, is currently also backed by the Qatar Investment Authority. We've heard of a possible IPO in the future. The last equity financing round raised $150 million. It valued Group One at about $1.35 billion. Congratulations on that. Are there any updates on the possible IPO? What's happening with ONE in the Middle East and with Qatar? What's their involvement?
So I think on the IPO, it really depends on the timing of the stock market and the health of the stock market, as well as the health of the global economy. To have a successful IPO, you really need to have a strong stock market and a strong economy. So obviously right now what we're seeing with the stock market and the global economy, I don't think our IPO is imminent, but we are preparing, we're laying the groundwork for a potential US listing. But again, I don't want to name a date or a time yet. I'll just say that the conditions are not ripe for one right now. But we've been very fortunate that we have strong institutional investors who have literally hundreds of billions of dollars. And if you add up our institutional investors' total assets under management, it's literally in the trillions. Qatar Investment Authority has 700 billion. Temasek has 700 billion. The list goes on. Guggenheim has 300 billion. Iconic, I think, is about 100 billion. Sequoia Capital. We have the bluest chip institutional investor base of any sports property globally right now. And their pockets are very deep, and we have outstanding relationships with our shareholders. So, they really believe in what we're doing. They really believe that we're doing the right thing by growing our reach numbers, our frequency numbers, our engagement numbers. They're really big believers that of our global footprint, and our roster and our brand and everything, the ethos. So, whether we do an IPO imminently or not, I think we have a strong track record of support from our institutional, investors. And, as long as we continue to hit numbers and grow, each year has been a record year. This year will be a record year in revenues, record year in viewership numbers. And those are the most important metrics right now for where the company is at.
Yes, sir. Agreed. We recently posted about the multi-year deal with beIN Sports, where beIN will air ONE Championship events live. Excellent decision to partner with them, by the way. Absolutely huge, especially in the Middle East. Are there any details on that partnership? How many years is it? Will they be airing all the events live?
Yeah, they'll be airing all ONE events live. And the plan is to have live primetime events in the Middle East. We're discussing with different partners here in the Middle East. But obviously, it's precious. Middle East obviously is the same time zone as European prime time. So, knock on wood, those developments happen. But I mean, the first start is beIN is the world's largest portfolio of sports media rights, on the planet. And I would argue, there's a handful of broadcasters that truly have a tremendous global brand and positioning, and I think beIN's one of those. So we feel very fortunate. beIN only works with the very best sports properties in the world, and the fact that they're going to be broadcasting us live across all of its territories in the Middle East, 24 territories to be exact, on a multi-year basis. I'm very excited. So let's see what happens. Again, there's a lot of discussions going on. That's all I can say, and that we do want to do primetime events on ground in the Middle East.
Nice. We've also heard that ONE might establish studios in Doha and film part of the next season of The Apprentice in Qatar. How much can you share about those plans?
So that is confirmed. Yes, we signed a deal with Media City for the season 2 of The Apprentice. Half of the season will be shot in Doha and half will be shot in Singapore. So it'll be the first truly global multi-location Apprentice in history. Obviously, we already broke the record of a global apprentice, right? Most apprentices are typically one country, whether it's the UK or Australia or the US. But this one, we're broadcast around the world, actually on Netflix Live right now. If you want to go watch, it's available. And then in the US and in Canada, it's on Amazon Prime right now.
Yeah, that first season had me a little bit nervous about this interview. You are pretty tough in the boardroom. Very exciting stuff, though. MMA fans in the region, we're all looking forward to what you're bringing to us. Now, Chatri, you've been an inspiration to millions around the world. Your story of success from your beginnings, the struggles you went through, literally losing everything you had when you were younger, and then becoming the successful leader that you are today. This has no doubt gained you tons of respect from anyone who's heard your story. In interviews, we hear you talking about certain values that have guided you in your life and that ONE Championship represents: humility, discipline, respect. It's very clear how much that matters to the organization when watching your fighters and their fights. Now, when it comes to respect and fighting in this day and age, and again, maybe more so in other organizations, we see that respect is sometimes thrown out the window by some fighters, at least for a little bit, in favor of the trash talk, marketing the fight, etc. You've always been humble, respectful guy. I'm interested to hear, what are your thoughts on that? Where should the line be drawn? What does respect mean to you, sir, in such a competitive industry?
Again, for true martial arts anywhere around the world, in any discipline, karate, taekwondo, judo, Muay Thai, boxing, wrestling, anything, through thousands of hours, everyone will agree that we learn, we inherit incredible values like discipline, like humility, like work ethic and like courage and respect and a lot of things. And unfortunately, I feel that some organizations around the world have really, in the quest for the dollar, have thrown all morality and values out the door. And that's not just something that one does. I mean, I think if trash talk is doesn't cross the line in terms of religion and family members and threats of death, of killing, like there's really crazy stuff, as you've seen from other organizations. I think that is very despicable, unfortunately. I think it's not true martial arts. For me, I'm a lifelong martial artist. I'm the only lifelong martial artist still training to this day, who's CEO of a major global organization. I mean, the other two organizations are businessmen. I feel like it's my duty to represent the martial arts community in an authentic light, but also to represent it in a positive light. Martial arts is not about violence, senseless violence, or disrespecting people's religions or cultures or family members, or threatening death threats to their kids. Just really despicable behavior. Martial arts for me has always been about unleashing your greatness in life through inheriting this warrior spirit that we inherit through thousands of hours of training and all these values that we inherit, to unleash your potential in life, and so you can be successful in and out of the ring. That is what martial arts represents to me. And respect really is the fact that our athletes recognize that on the opposite side, facing them in the cage or in the ring, is someone who's traversed the exact same journey. All this kind of like hate and anger and blood sport and trash talk of families and religions and just, it just has no place in martial arts, in my opinion. I think if you trash talk about, hey, I'm going to beat you, I'm going to submit you, I'm going to KO you, I think your cardio sucks, I think those things are within the bounds of the sport, right? But if you go beyond that, make it personal and cross a line. Another thing that my team and I always talk about, including our athletes, it's like, one is now, according to Nielsen, top 5 largest sports property in the world in terms of viewership and engagement numbers, and the #1 combat sports property, globally in terms of viewership on TV and social and digital, all over the world, according to Nielsen. My team and I think very deeply about our responsibility, what voice, what influence we have in the next generation. We always come back to like our athletes are heroes. We have kids all over, millions of kids all over the world having posters of Angela Lee or whoever. And the fact that our heroes are very respectable, honorable, good role models, that makes me proud, because I know that, kids will emulate their behavior, not to become a world champion, but maybe they want to be a doctor, maybe they want to be an engineer, maybe they want to be a CEO, maybe they want to be a charity worker, whatever it is. Do it with strong values, do it with a sense of humanity. Not what we see in the other organizations, where it's really just a degradation of morality and humanity.
Yes, sir, and big respect to you, sir. Chatri, this conversation has been truly enlightening. It's been a wonderful experience. We're really looking forward to the upcoming events and any other big announcements, especially for this region. We're excited to see what the future holds for ONE Championship, and we definitely look forward to speaking with you again soon. Thank you so much for all your time. It's been a pleasure, sir.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and nice chatting to you. Thanks so much. Take care.